Hello, good afternoon. Good to be here again today. I actually did this unannounced, but I'm specially dedicating this to the singles who reached out to me. And I believe and I pray that by the grace of God, this will be of immense blessing to you in Jesus' name. The topic that I'll be relating this to is just before you go into the marriage. You may not totally know how compatible you could be with your intending spouse, but I want to tell you that you have the responsibility to find out at least the much you can know that can give your decision a beautiful meaning. Like I said, it may not be 100%. You have that spiritual responsibility. You have that intellectual responsibility. You owe that emotional responsibility to yourself to know. Permit me to say that we have a lot of marriages that before they entered, they can testify that they were so sure that God spoke to them. They were so sure in the unique way that God, they know they can, they know they have a feeling that this is actually from God, and they prayed about it. But what is going on? We do not have an irresponsible God. But I often tell people that after prayers, what makes us very irresponsible? It's when we do not action our prayers. For every revelation, for every prayer, there is the action part of it. And that is why I'm telling you, as if you're single and you haven't gone into that marriage, I want to congratulate you because you have the responsibility to have a double check into what you're about going into. And why do I say this? God has endowed people, professionals, counselors, the grace and the opportunity to know how to actually discover a portion of our lives. I call this another kind of miracle, which we do not celebrate in churches. Beyond the spiritual aspect, like I said, prayer is very important. But after prayer, there are some steps you need to take. The first thing I will tell you as a single lady or a single guy that is already in a relationship, that is about to go into a relationship, is to discover yourself. Discover yourself in line with your values. Discover yourself in line with those things you're pursuing. Discover yourself in line with your strength, in line with your weaknesses. And it also boils down to discovering your personality traits. Like we discussed yesterday, which was what brought about this topic. We have assessment forms that once you go through those forms, you'll be wowed at the result it's getting, because when you realize the results that come out of these forms, you discover that this has revealed a major portion of your personality. I've had people fill those forms and they are so shocked at what is bringing out without revealing things about themselves to me or about their spouses or their intended spouses. And I tell them these are the things you are about to go into, and they are shocked. These things are wisdom that God has given people to come out with realities of your life. In this part of the world, we are often very reactive in nature. And I advise you as singles, you have the opportunity of being proactive in your marriage. What do I mean by being proactive? By the time you discover your strength, your values, your personalities, and you align it with the personalities and the values of who you intend to settle and live for the rest of your life with, then those salient questions, that realities will be thrown at your face. When the person you are into a relationship with, when you discover his personalities, are you willing to live with this guy or this lady for the rest of your life? Do you share common value? You may not have exactly the same value, but there should be value and alignment. Do you share common purpose? Can you celebrate his purpose or her purpose in life? Are you comfortable with the way and the direction his life or her life is tending towards? I tell you, your life in the hands of each other is a seed. The seed you are saying, can you be proud of the fruit it will be bringing out when you get into that marriage? Secondly, discover the personality of the person you are about settling into. There are some questions you come into that will face you, and you need to feel it. You need to answer these questions based on the reality and the truthfulness, because these are things that will save you from a marriage that you never planned to. No marriage planned to fail. Nobody planned to have a failed marriage, but we fail to plan for a very successful marriage. When you look at all these personality profiles, the assessment forms, you begin to align it. Are you a guy that is so prone to anger? The person you are about settling in with, is she also so prone to anger? What are you willing to compromise? Are you willing to reprofile yourself? What are those things you're willing to work on your personalities? I tell you, ladies and guys, if you are not settling this in your courtship, this is a monster that is waiting to be unfolded in your marriage. You are actually sitting on a keg of gunpowder. What are the values you hold? I advise singles that the period of courtship for you is a period that you begin to check out all those things, those values, your personalities. It's not only about personality, although we'll be talking about personality today because that was what prompted this. Same with a married couple. These things will reveal your salient personalities. Are you a creative convertible? Are you an intimidating Hummer? Are you a dependable truck? Are you a systematic Ford? All these personalities have their inherent strength and weaknesses. Is your intending spouse as laid back as you are? That might not help your purpose. What are you willing to do? When you discover these realities, some may not totally mean you are going your separate ways. It may mean that you need to individually work on yourselves before you fix that wedding date. You can actually paint that wedding date. And if you're here, you're listening to me, or you have a recap of this video, if you have not settled into a relationship, I congratulate you, because it means that there is a possibility that you will be more objective in your reasoning and in your choice, as against somebody that's actually fixed a wedding date, as against somebody that introduction ceremony has been done, because there will be biases. What will people say? What will I tell my friends? What will I tell my family? What will I tell my pastor? But remember, you are the only one with your spouse that will be in that boat. Are you willing to live the rest of your life with somebody that is willing or capable of not giving your destiny an expression? You are supposed to get married to somebody that will give your destiny wings to fly, whether you are a guy or you're a lady. A lot of marriages are coffins bearing destinies of men, bearing destinies of women. Do you want to join the bandwagon of those that are already in a marriage, that they are waiting, their destinies are waiting for expression? Or you want to have a foundation of bliss, a foundation of intentional marriage, a foundation of intentional purpose fulfillment? Some people are better unmarried than in the marriage they are. What we are trying to do as counselors is to see how to save as many marriages as possible. But you can start yours on a platter of gold by having the required knowledge. God has told you to go ahead. There are some things that might be hidden in the personality of that person that you need to unravel. We are counselors that are willing to help you. Why don't you seek for help about your reality? Some have hidden battles that you are not aware of. Some have the past that they are not willing to share with anybody. Even when they are sharing it with you, they are sharing it still in their pains. If your intended spouse or your spouse to be has gone through something in the past and has not been able to overcome that, it's one thing to go through it. We all have a past that we are dealing with or that we have dealt with. But if the person is still living in his or her own shadow, It may be an abuse. It may be a sexual abuse. It may be a physical abuse. It may be a victim of a single parenthood. It may be a victim of, he or she may be a victim of broken home. But there are some things that when they are not totally or properly treated before you go into that marriage, will begin to reveal itself in your marriage. May you never be a victim of such situations in Jesus' name. It's not only about praying, it's about taking the right action. It's about seeking for help. It's about trying to walk intentionally in your courtship, even as you intend to go into that marriage. Your marriage, begin to imagine the bliss in your marriage. Begin to imagine a marriage that will give your destiny a full expression. Begin to imagine a marriage that you bless God for your lives, for going into that. And I believe that with all the steps, amongst other steps that we'll eventually be uncovering, our singles will never curse the day they got married. Our singles will never curse the day they ever met their spouses. Our singles, your marriage will glorify your Maker. Your marriage will be a result and a solution to humanity, because while we're on earth is to salten the earth and to be a voice and the light to the world that God has made us to dwell in. You're not created here by accident. Don't go into an accidental marriage. The power is in your hands. Until I have the opportunity to talk to you again, my lovely singles, see you next time. Just before we leave, you can private chat me if you're interested. We are planning something big for the singles. You can join us, which will be a quarterly thing for us as the singles gather to acquire knowledge. God bless you. Once again, this is from the stable of the post-dwelling counselor. I celebrate you all. Thank you.